Hey guys, Chris from Cheyenne Exotics here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to set up a proper test tube for an ant queen. Alright, so first up is the supplies you want. First you want a Q-tip or some kind of pokey, a skewer, something like that, to be able to push the cotton down into the test tube once you fill it with water. And you want some kind of lid. A lot of people use cotton, but I've always had problems getting a good airflow with cotton because it's always too tight and they just suffocate. So I got these test tubes with these like plastic stoppers, and there's little holes I cut in there for air circulation so they don't suffocate. And one thing you want to make sure you do is make sure everything here is completely sterile, or at least to the best of your abilities. Like, I cleaned this out with really hot water. I stuck it in, I stuck my thumb up top and I shook it. Just make sure I killed everything in there, clean Q-tip, clean cotton, and then I just got this with really hot water. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is fill it up with water about 3/4 way. So one thing you want to make sure you do that I didn't mention before is try to put purified water inside of the test tube. If you use tap water, then there's all kinds of different chemicals and such in there that could kill the ants or harm them. So just make sure you use purified clean water. And next you want to get the cotton, or a piece of cotton ball, either way. You're going to stuff it about 3/4 of the way into the top of the test tube. A little bit of a pain. Now once you get it there, you're going to get your pokey, and then you are going to shove it down really fast, otherwise you'll get air bubbles. And it's no big deal, but they look bad. So shove it down really fast till the water hits about here, which is about where it is. And the water actually goes up and soaks in a lot farther than it looks like. So just kind of pat down. I like to pat down the corners of the cotton to make sure they get moist. And I usually only do one side because I don't want my test tubes to be too moist. That way, the ant can choose whether it wants to be super moist here, a little bit less moist, and then obviously they can move up to the top where it's not really humid at all. And then next, after you got that set up, you're going to want to get your queen and put her in there. Alright, so here I got a Formica queen that I caught outside not too long ago. I just have her in this little catch vial thingy, and you just want to get your test tube, and usually you do it sitting down, but for the sake of the video, the better view from right here. So you just kind of get the cup and you just kind of tilt it a little bit to where she's in the top, and then you gently tap. You don't want to hit it hard, but just enough to kind of knock her loose and get her crawling. And yep, see, there she goes on her own into the test tube. And then kind of quickly, you're going to want to stick the cap on there. And there you go. Ooh, successfully set up test tube. Alright, so here's a good example of something that is not a test tube, that isn't typically used in the ant keeping business, at least for, queen ants. It's not a test tube, it's actually a fecal sample tube for my bearded dragon. It was never used, and I'm out of test tubes, and I caught a crap load of queen ants, so I'm going to show you can use it. It's exactly the same as a test tube, it just looks funny. So you can see you fill it up about halfway because it is very thick, a lot thicker than the test tubes, and that's about more water than what actually goes in the test tubes, and that'll still leave plenty of room up on top here. So next you're going to want to get your cotton, which I don't know, it may take two because this cotton ball is about the width of this thing. So I can just use my finger. Actually, I recommend using a pokey stick just in case. It's real fast. And that is, not sure how I feel about that. So one thing you want to look out for is leakage. If it's leaking, then you don't want to use it. And actually the water's coming up to the very top of the cotton here. So what I'm going to do is actually remove it and put in a new cotton and push it down not as far because it's soaking up a lot of water. Alright, so let's try this one more time. I'm going to stick the cotton in there, and I'm not going to push it down as far as I did last time. That way it doesn't push it down about halfway, maybe a little bit more. And if my theory is correct, the water will actually soak up through the cotton to the top anyways, because there's so much water that it's soaking up. Alright, so I'm not sure if it's picking it up on camera, but it actually soaked up a lot of water. And it came up towards the top, but right there is a huge floofy area where no water is really getting to. So, and then there's a tunnel that goes underneath that, and where it's super moist. Then it gets kind of moist, and then it's like not really moist at all. So there's a really good gradient in there without her having to move them to the very top. So this actually might be very, very handy. And in the lid, I just poked a bunch of holes for air circulation, and it's a screw top. And then it looks like it's really short and there's not much room in there, but it's very wide, so there will be plenty of room in there. Now let's get a queen in there. How about a Camponotus queen? Alright, so we're going to do the same trick as before, except it may be a little bit tricky and she may fall out and we'll have to chase her down. But we'll find out. So get her so she's sliding a little bit, she'll crawl down on her own. She'll come into frame, there she is. Oh. And see, she's trying to get onto my hand very desperately, but she ended up inside of the tube anyways. And then because this doesn't go inside, it's actually a lot safer, because once it gets past those first threads in there, she can't get caught. So I don't know if you can see her or not, but she's over towards the lid. Yeah, there she is. So yeah, there's that successfully tubed. Alright, so on the first test tube I did, there wasn't very much room in there. It should be fine, and if worse comes to worse, I'll move her to another test tube. But here's another one, and I'll just do it with you guys so you can see. Stick the cotton. Just a pain in the butt, I'll tell you what. That rhymed. And you get your pokey. And then very fast, you're going to want to push it in. That wasn't very fast because my pokey stick is getting weak. It's getting kind of soggy on one side. And then you pat down one so it's close to the water. Whoop! And it'll soak up into it. And then you get your cap ready. And then you're going to want to get your queen, which is another Formica. I caught 4 Formica queens and 1 Camponotus. What's up with that? See if I can find any more before the season's over. The camera kind of went out of focus there for a second, but I got her in there, as you can see, and she's doing well. Alright. 1 test tube and 1 queen to go. Stop chewing at the mesh, you asswipe. This queen's trying to chew through the mesh to get free. They're too smart for their own good. Alright, we got 1 more Formica queen, and she's actually on the lid, so it's going to be a bit of a pain to catch her. I take that back, that was the easiest one. And we're going to cap it, and there we go. Last queen. So I'm adding this bit in after post because I figured it would be handy for you guys. I'm just kind of showing you how to store them after you've got them set up in their test tubes. What you want to do is, I have them in these little drawers in this little cupboard dingy, and you just want a dark, quiet place where they will be undisturbed, and I recommend not checking them more than once a week because it can cause them to get extremely stressed out and they won't lay, or they'll eat their eggs, or they'll just die from stress, which can't happen. And so yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you guys this just in case. And you can stick them in together. I just kind of, you see I got them in different directions so they can't see each other because they will get stressed from that. And the warmer you keep them, typically the faster they'll lay eggs, but you don't want them too hot. My room's about 75-80 degrees, so they'll be pretty active. I also found out they're not 4 Formica, they're 4 Erlasius neoniger and 1 Formica, which is the black one, which I thought was Camponotus, so So as you can see, we've got 5 ants total, 4 in the normal test tubes, 1 in this improvised test tube. We got 1 Camponotus and 4 Formica. As you can see, they're all kind of different sizes. I'm not great at this. This is really my first go at ant keeping. I've just done a lot of research. So here's a video that'll hopefully help you guys get your first ants set up, or your second ants, or whatever you have. And please leave a like, comment if you have any suggestions or any questions or anything else. I'll see you guys in the next video.